ST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, and more. This is The Hotter Show.
What is up, everybody? We're Rolling Audio here today on episode 312 of The Hotter Show. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I got a really fun episode for you here today. I tell you every single week right here on The Hotter Show. I'm sitting down for the first time in over 4 years with my old buddy and OG Hotter Show guest and supporter, Lee Ibanez from Clovercast. Now, if you guys have been long to listeners to the show, you might know Lee from his old band We Are X, as well as playing guitar live with my boys in Judgement. We have a great chat. We have a ton of catching up to do, but he talks about kind of what he's been up to over the last few years, his new project Clovercast, the brand new single that he just dropped a couple of weeks ago, what's going to be happening with that project, him joining up with Judgement to play live with them, and kind of everything that's going on with that project. So we have a lot of fun. I hope that you guys enjoy the chat. Before we jump into it, I want to thank everybody for their support on last week's episode of the show, in which I sat down with Mark Taus, who is a phenomenal horror writer. If you haven't checked out his work, I implore you guys to go do so, because it is fantastic, and I cannot stress enough how much of a great guest Mark was. So big shouts again to Mark, and shouts to everybody who checked that episode out. Without further ado, we're going to roll into my chat with my buddy Lee Ibanez from Clovercast. Let's get into it. 1,671 days. 1,671 days was the last time, over 4 years, folks, for those of you doing the math at home, since we last heard from my guest today. I could not be more excited. I'm so happy we've been able to have a little catch up here. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Ibanez from Clovercast is back on the Hotter Show. Lee, what's up, buddy? It's good to see you, man.
Thank you. It's good to see you too. It's good to be back. Yeah, it's been a 1,000+ days too long, in my opinion.
Oh, dude, for sure. Like a few hundred days, okay, but like not 1,000, man. That's unacceptable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
that's too many days to even like fathom counting.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I had to look it up. I had to literally type in how long ago was it. Was April 20th of 2017 was part 2 of our conversation that we had, and that was dude, I can't stress enough how good it is to see you, man, and reconnect. It's life is crazy, and you know, it's just like I've always kind of been following what you've been doing the last little while with Clovercast, and like I love the Clovercast stuff, and obviously we're gonna get into that. There's a lot of stuff we have to catch up on.
Lots of stuff,
but just it's good to see you, man. I'm excited.
It's good. Yeah, it's good to see you too. It's good to see you too. Again, it's great to be back, honestly, just, you know, talking about everything. You know, I feel like some of this is like therapy, and then the other part of it is just shameless promo. So it's like, it's what artists really want. You know, they want to talk about their feelings, but then they also want to talk about, hey, I'm doing this.
I'm doing this. Give me money if possible. Yeah. Thank you. Or at least like leave me pre-save my song, or my stuff, something. Give me something out of this exchange, man.
Follow me on Instagram at least.
Even at least a follow on Instagram. Come on.
At least.
I can assure I'm talking directly to other artists right now. I can assure every artist who comes on the Hotter Show will get at least one new Instagram follower. That's a Hotter Show guarantee, folks.
And that's not from TJ himself.
I can assure you will get one follow. Holy shit. Oh, man.
Oh, no.
That's how it goes. But, man, listen. So,
just how it goes, man.
Obviously, Clovercast. That is... You just dropped a brand new single, literally as we are recording this, I guess it was a couple weeks ago now, but October 29th, Get It All Back dropped.
Yep.
And if I can just dive in here for a second and be totally straight with you, it's without a doubt my favorite song you've released. I love it.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I'm glad that, you know, it's getting the reception that it's getting, because I'm very I've always been nervous, and I'm sure every artist has felt this at some point in their, sort of little career. Just that build up before you release something, you get so like antsy and worried, like, are people going to like this?
Sure.
Like, was all of this work for naught? And I'm just really glad that people are vibing with it. People are vibing with the Clovercast stuff. People are, just enjoying it for what it is. And then, there are people who are like, so what does this mean? Like, going into it a little bit more with me as well, which is fun, But yeah,
For sure, yeah. And it's like, it's a very, on the surface, a very relatable track and everything too, right? Like that's got to be fun for people when it's just like, it's pretty apparent kind of what the song is about, at least the interpretation of it, right? So like that, always makes it more fun.
Yeah, it's funny to actually hear other people's interpretations about it because, well, what are your interpretations about it? Let me just ask that. I'm gonna flip the script here. So I'm gonna interview you.
I mean, pretty basically to me, it sounds like someone basically trying to get back a type of relationship that they possibly had with the protagonist of the song. But I've also been very wrong on stuff like that before. So how far off am I on that?
I mean, it's partly that. It was more so chasing the sort of feeling of something.
Okay.
Yeah. So over the past couple of years, I've stopped, really partying and stuff, I guess you could say. Like going and drinking and stuff and getting just absolutely toasted with my friends, and just singing I Want It That Way at bars. Now I'm like at my friend's place with a bottle of Sprite singing I Want It That Way in their living room.
You're still singing I Want It That Way,
I'm
just now
singing,
it's not hammered.
There are some constants in my life, and I Want It That Way, the Backstreet Boys will always be one of them.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what.
Listen, if there's two things that I want to always make sure that Lee Ibanez does, it is number one, sing the Backstreet Boys any chance you get and eat either popsicles or ice cream sandwiches for breakfast or at some point in the day as your main meal.
Some things do not change. Some things just do not change. I wrote that because two instances happened. I went on a date with someone like about a year or about like maybe 8 months after my last serious relationship. And I kind of just like I stopped that, and by stopping that I kind of just like went away for a little bit because I was like, it wasn't like I felt guilty that I was trying to get that feeling back. It was more so like, do I even want that? And then I kind of just started like internalizing and then antagonizing myself because I was like, you're chasing something that you had before. Is it really what you want now? And then I also went I went clubbing with my friends like a couple weeks after, and I was like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I get more enjoyment sitting at home, watching YouTube videos,
so
like that's it.
Yeah. So it's almost kind of like a letter to yourself, almost like, do you really want this back? Like, do you want to is it you want this life back? Or do you just want this feeling back? Like, that's definitely an interesting concept.
Yeah. And like, especially the pre-chorus, and every night they see much farther, losing the fight, did we have control, is sort of like, it's sort of my sobriety, kind of like slowly shifting away, as well as seeing all of those party goers, clubbers and all that stuff, kind of, watching me kind of just sit back and not really partake and everything, and they're looking for, okay, how much more crazier can this night get? Where I'm literally like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, you're kind of just like, can we just like hang out and like,
why can't we just ruin friendships with Monopoly? Why can't we just do that?
Yeah, why do we have to get hammered and like reveal our darkest secrets or something?
Yeah. Like the drinking like getting drunk and stuff, like I can't control that. But like I'm more comfortable not being around other drunk people.
Well, sure, yeah.
That I think a lot of people can resonate with that. Like it makes them a little bit uncomfortable at times, especially because I don't drink all too often. So a lot of times when I am clubbing, I'm the sober friend, and I'm playing the mom and dad for all of my friends.
Which, like, that's not fun. Like,
it's not fun. Yeah. It's funny.
Absolutely.
It's definitely funny. Because then you can tell them, like, hey, you did this last night? And they're like, what are you talking about? Like,
I remember, you don't remember that? Like, yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, a lot of it is just, like, a lot of that song is sort of, like, my personal anxieties of, like, this yearning for something that I had before without even realizing if it's what I want still. Do I still want to be that person? Do I still want to do those things? And a lot of those things turned out to be no. So that song was sort of a gut reaction to those two events, and then that led to that song. And then it kind of went to the music video where it was sort of like, it was just this really big chase scene, and it's a little bit messed up because the antagonist is like, what's it called? It's a game to her. It's a game to her. Whereas the protagonist, that's just the character of Clover, he's running for his life. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He's terrified, So they all kind of go hand in hand of like this yearning for something you had before sort of thing.
It's that yearning of, it's like, okay, I want this thing that I had in my life at one point. I want to get it all back.
This thing was great before. Let's try it again. And then realizing, is this really worth it? Like, did I have that much fun the last time doing this? I don't remember, It's almost like looking back on things that you think really fondly of, and then it's like you do it again and you're like, wow, this is not anywhere near as much fun as I remember. Yeah, exactly. That whole song just kind of came from that experience and then kind of bled into the music video.
And with the music video too, like, just because like we're we're talking about this, like, with the music video, like, obviously, like, I know, I think that thing was like a mini movie. And like, so how did all that come together? Like, did you know right away that like you wanted this epic, like you said, kind of like a chase scene type thing, or like was that the producer? Like, where did that come from?
I think as soon as I got that initial drum beat, the do ga do ga do ga, it, and then with the bass, which is just a droning kind of it kind of just felt like I was, every time I like saw anything in my head when I closed my eyes and listened to just those two, I was like, this is just like a car scene.
Sure.
This is a car race, Like I could imagine, well, it was a couple of things. Like I could imagine it being like an anime like chase scene, like parkour anime sort of.
Sure,
yeah,
where they're like running and
yeah. And then there's also just like, part of me was just like, yeah, Fast and Furious. Like it kind of reminds me of that for some reason. Like I don't like the Fast and Furious series, but for some reason I was like, yeah, Vin Diesel like racing other dudes in a car.
It's a family.
Yeah, only for the family, And I was just like, family. Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and
let's do that.
We wanted to have a car chase scene in it. Of course, we couldn't really get the permits for those. Those are expensive.
Yeah, that would
as
have
well
been
as everyone's safety,
Yeah.
as well as we don't have enough money for like stunt drivers, stunt cars, an actual crew, like the production wise and everything, and everyone just to make sure that it went smoothly. And we also didn't have permits to do anything really. Like we were just kind of guerrilla
videoing
filming.
it basically.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot more that was supposed to be in it. Like, there was a whole other scene that I wanted for the second verse, but we didn't have enough time.
It's also only like a 3-minute long song, right? So there's only so much you can do.
It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds or something like that. It's a short song, and it all kind of worked out the way that it did, because like we filmed it over like 2-3 weeks, I'm gonna say, and by the end of like a take of something like that, or like we would finish a shot, it would be like, oh, it's like almost 1 a.m. and these people have to go to work tomorrow. Like, it's a Sunday. Like, okay, I think we're good with like what we've done tonight. Let's just pick it back up when we can, sort of thing. So like having the limited resources and limited time, but not really limited time, kind of helped in our favor a little bit with the actual song length and everything, and make sure everything lined up.
Yeah, because then it's better to that you made that decision too, because like if you have too much stuff crammed into that video, like it's just little snapshots and stuff, and it's like
exactly
you can't really take in what's happening.
What's the point of having just snapshots? You know, it's just gonna look like a slideshow, and no one wants to sit there through a musical slideshow.
Yeah,
unless people do, and if
unless
that's
you
the
do.
Case, if that's the case, that may be a future music video, which I'm okay with.
Just slideshows.
Yeah, just like a musical slideshow with a Clover track underneath it, you know, of just me doing stupid shit.
I think that's a fantastic, either that or like just like, listen, if there's one thing I see all the time with music videos, it's either like that kind of a thing, a still image, or it's an anime video. There's no in between. It's one of the three things. Like, it's just like,
exactly.
But that's
I don't know. It really comes down to like what people would like in the future, I guess, for the other ideas. But yeah, I mean, this video was just, hey, we got this amount of time to do this. Let's do it, you know, and just a really like sort of let's do it, get it done attitude.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think it turned out great, and it looks great.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a great song. And for those of you who haven't heard it for some reason, I'll have some links down below to the video and everything. Go check it out, because it is. Go check it out and stream it and buy it and all that fun stuff. And I'll have some links down below for stuff for Clovercast. But talking on Clovercast, where did this project all come from? Like, obviously, for those people who know you from your past appearances on the Harder Show and your past life with WeRX, kind of where did this project come from? Like, I'm assuming that obviously like WeRX kind of y'all just kind of went your separate ways, and assuming so. Obviously we can talk about that, divulge a little bit if you'd like, but was there just like a point where you were like, okay, I want to start making music again, and I want to make trusty old kind of poppy emo stuff with some guitars? Like, where did that come from?
So I was always a big fan of like pop bands in general.
Sure.
Like the Backstreet Boys. I talked about them in the last podcast that we did.
Hell yeah, dude!
Episodes that we did.
Yo, listen.
It's gonna come up again.
I want it that way.
Exactly, right? We all want it that way.
Real quick. I don't want to interrupt you, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my favorite Backstreet Boys song. Yo, what the hell?
Do you remember how it goes?
I tried to
Incomplete.
Incomplete. That's it.
Incomplete.
Incomplete.
I want people to know that for me, it's not surprising that I knew it right off the bat.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised that I knew it off the bat. All I needed to hear was "I tried."
Yes.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, "Yep, okay."
Yeah,
I know
live for that shit, man. I love that song so much. Me and the wife always sing it to each other. But anyway, sorry, please continue. I just want to throw that out there. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, I've always been a fan of the Backstreet Boys. I liked the Jonas Brothers as well when they first came out, because it was like, okay, it's sounds like stuff that the Backstreet Boys would be performing a little bit, but they're playing instruments.
Yes.
And I was like, I want to play instruments. I don't want to dance. I want to play instruments. So I was like really big into them. Yeah, and I think after We Are X ended, not ended. We're it's an indefinite hiatus.
Sure. Okay.
So it's not like ended, but it's up in the air. We don't know where it's going, or what could happen, or if anything will happen. We just don't want to miss out on the opportunity. Maybe later.
Of course,
on,
yeah.
where,
you don't want to say it's never going to happen, but also,
Yeah.
you never say never in this life, right? That's
Exactly.
But you also
exactly.
don't want to stay hung up on something and miss other projects, right? That's
Exactly.
yeah. Absolutely,
Exactly.
can totally respect that.
Yeah, and I was just at Seneca. I went to college for Seneca shortly after. And I remember the day that I came up with the idea for Clovercast, like just the name for Clovercast. Leading up to it, I had went through a couple of like personal life changes. Like I went through a really bad breakup, was kind of like worrying my family on my mental health and all that stuff, and my friends, just generally depressed overall. And the album Youngblood by 5 Seconds of Summer came out, and when 5 Seconds of Summer came out, everyone was like, oh, there's this wannabe pop punk band, you know? And then when that album came out, everyone was like, this is a pop band. Like, now they're just staying pop. But I fell in love with that. I was like, okay, I could make that, maybe I can make sort of like a mature change, I guess you could say, into a different genre, or maybe something of the sorts. Maybe not pop, maybe, I don't know, just in general, maybe a different genre. I fell in love with that album when it came out. It really hit me in a place. And then I was also getting into the 1975 at that point as well, which is kind of like the stereotypical pop punk kid meets, like,
But it's
discovers
good shit.
the 1975.
Like, yeah. It's like, it's good
and just
stuff.
starts playing fucking Chocolate all over the place. Like, that's just that's it, you know? And like using that sort of guitar line and everything. I made that progression in my life. That's the road I went down. And yeah, so I was like, okay, this stuff really, like, it's a big interest in me, or for me. Like, I want to maybe, you know, go into that a little bit more, maybe see what I can discover.
See where this takes you,
myself.
kind of thing.
Yeah. So I went into that a little bit. And I had written Not Your Type. So Not Your Type was already, by the time Not Your Type came out, it was already 2 years old. And then I remember I got into an argument one day with an ex for some reason. I don't remember why I had their phone number still, but got into an argument with an ex, and then it was a very cloudy day, which is the overcast in Clovercast. And like, I was like, so like, I was freaked out, and my friend from school, Megan Ann, shout out to Megan Ann, one of my best friends I've ever.
What's happening?
Yeah, she she was there through the argument, and then we talked about stuff, and like, I went out and like just laid down, and I think it started like snowing a little bit as well. It was like one of those weird late snow Decembers, like, and I don't know, I just kind of laid down, looked in an open area, fielded area, just kind of looked over and just saw clovers, and I was like, Clover, Overcast, Clovercast, that's a cool name. And then just went, that could be for this. At the time, I called it the Breakfast Club song, because it just sounded. When you hear the intro, it sounds like the Breakfast Club. Like, there's no other way to put it. It just sounded like the Breakfast Club. So that was like the working title for it for a long time, and I just went like, this would be great for the Breakfast Club, and then just kind of went on like a little writing rampage after that. And sort of going into, okay, like, how would I do this? How would this work? How would I do shows and stuff? And I remember I did play a show, or I played 2 shows after Seneca, or yeah, around the time that I finished Seneca. And those were with bands. Like I had like a band with me, and I was just like, I don't have the money to pay for other people, and nor do I want to test their patience with my, you know, with the way that I have just been doing things myself. And then, I was just, I don't know. It just kind of, it was around the time where I got a MIDI keyboard with like the drum pads and stuff. And then I was always a big fan of Linkin Park, who always had the MIDI controllers and everything. And like the sampling and all that stuff. And I was like, I could maybe do that. And then I was like, how am I gonna have the rest of the track playing? Do I become one of those guys who is like a guitar and a computer? Like I was like, do I become that?
Do you want to go into that realm of things? Yeah.
And like the more that I thought about it, I was like, I love having other people on stage with me, but money is tight. The musicians I want to work with are out of town, so I have to pay for them to come to me, or I have to go to them to just work with them. I'm already writing and recording this stuff by myself, so I have all the tracks. Why don't I just save up for like a drum app? Or not a drum app, but like a drum plugin.
Yeah, like something you can have live, but it still has that feel of a live drummer, right?
Yeah. And like I could just map out the drums for whatever tracks I'm playing, and then use that for, just use tracks. Mm-hmm. Have the synth, have the guitar, have the bass, have the backing vocals on there as well. So it's not just me singing along to tracks. It's like, it feels like a band, and then you actually see it. It's just me, and I mean, I don't know. Clover just came from a really like, I was just having a really unlucky day, I guess you could say. Like I missed my bus to get to school that day, and like again, it was pretty crappy, weather-wise, and like it started snowing, and I loved the snow, but then that one instance really kind of just put a damper on my day. And then I don't know, like finding that clover, it wasn't even a 4-leaf clover, it was just a clover. I was like, that can go with, so like that was always like, it was the whole meaning behind Clovercast is finding luck on the gloomiest days and stuff like that, like finding the good out of the bad sort of thing. And so far, the only good that I've been able to find out of bad is lessons, like learning lessons from situations, and also writing songs about those lessons.
Writing awesome music. I mean, really, some of the, it's been said a million different ways, but like through, in darkness, you can find beauty, right?
Yeah.
You can find beauty in negative spaces. Shout out to Seether.
Seether. Oh my God, I love them. Yeah, me and Rai from Judgement, we had a jam last night. We were practicing because at this time we're getting ready to do a show at the Biltmore.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure by the time this comes out, it will already have played the show. The show is on November 20th.
This will be out in a couple days, so it actually will not have happened yet. Yeah.
Okay, if you're not, okay, but if you don't have tickets, come get tickets.
Get tickets right now. I'll try and remember to throw a link down below too.
It's in the Judgement bio. It's in the Judgement bio. Judgement Instagram bio.
Judgement Instagram bio. No Facebook. Yeah. Only Instagram.
No Facebook.
Only Instagram for my boys in Judgement. Go check it out. We'll definitely talk about that a little later.
Yeah,
by the way, I want to bring that up. But yeah, sorry, you guys were jamming, and were you jamming some?
We were jamming to Linkin Park last night.
Nice.
I don't know. I was just in a very Linkin Park kind of that. I don't want to say that era of music because that era is transcended, but that sort of time frame of music, like just straight up the 2000s, like rock and new metal.
That's scene, my shit. Like that's literally, to me, like for God's sakes, Limp Bizkit just dropped a new record and it's freaking fantastic. So I mean, For the people who like Limp Bizkit anyway. For people who don't like Limp Bizkit, they're like, Limp Bizkit still sucks. And it's like, that's why they call the record that.
I feel like Limp Bizkit is, sorry to go on a tangent, or not
please do.
a tangent, but like to change the subject, I feel like Limp Bizkit is like the Nickelback of...
for sure.
Of new metal.
Yeah.
You know? Like, they made it big, and then people started taking dumps on them left, right, and center.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
The second I heard Out of Style, I was like, have you heard any? Are you a Limp Bizkit fan at all?
No,
okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
But basically,
I am going to check them out after this or I'm going to check their new album out after this because of how much you like it.
It's honestly Out of Style. Like, it could have been released in 2002.
Yeah.
And it has that vibe, but it's still a little more mature. Mm-hmm. Like, they're firing on all cylinders. Like, it was fantastic. But anyway, you know who else just dropped a dope, totally off subject, a dope kind of throwbacky new metal Power Man 5000 vibes type of song?
Who?
Code Orange. You know Code Orange at all?
No.
Okay. They have a new song called Out for Blood.
Okay.
It's interesting. I really like it, but everyone is shitting on it because of the snare sound.
Oh god.
They have they have the Saint Anger snare.
Oh no.
And I understand why they did it now, because the song is very it's very processed. Like, it's very like the vocals and everything. There's a lot of like effects and shit going on.
A lot of masking.
Yeah, so like they couldn't have gone with that normal snare sound. It would have sounded even almost worse. But it's very distracting at sometimes. It's just Kong.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Are you hitting a trash can lid? Like, what?
Yeah. Which is ironic because I kind of use a snare sample sort of like that for Midnight. That single that I released under Clovercast, where it has a
but I think it suits the.
I think so too, because it's like a dancey. It's kind of a
Yeah.
dancey sort of snare, you know.
And
it's
that's
like
yeah.
got that high ping sort of sound.
Mm-hmm. And that's for me, like when I heard, because Midnight, and I didn't know how you pronounced it. I assumed it was Midnight, so thank you for pronouncing that for me. I'm
No
like, do you
problem.
call it 000?
For the record, everybody at home, this is Midnight. It's called
Midnight.
This is Midnight.
Well, and what was cool was, so that was the first song from the Clovercast project that I heard, and you know, because it was one of those things where like I kind of lost touch with what you were doing, and then I was like, oh, like Lee's got this new song out, cool, I should go check it out, and then I was like, wait, he has another new song out. When the hell did this happen? Like, what's going on? Actually, shouts to Brandon Hastings, actually, from Outshined. I think he hit me up and was like, I could be totally wrong on that. So Brandon, if you hear this, don't be mad at me if I'm misquoting you.
Just make sure if he is right, just make sure to say thank you. And if he is wrong,
shout out to whoever
you
said
guys
that.
can deal with that. Shout out to the homie, you know?
It was just like, yo, did you hear the new Clovercast? And I was like, I didn't even know that it was your band. Like, I was like, first off, what is a Clovercast? It's a really cool freaking name. But I was like, is it a podcast? Like what? I hear cast and automatically that's where my brain goes, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, let's leave a podcast called Clovercast? And then like I went and I listened to the song and I'm like, okay, I assumed it was going to be Lee Ibanez-y kind of like pop punky, you know.
Yeah.
And that was
the stuff that you've heard before. Yeah. You know.
And then the second the song started, I went, okay, I'm in. Because it's very poppy.
It is, yeah.
And
it's
like
very
but there's
that was the biggest thing that I was
stuff, right?
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that I was worried about when I first started Clovercast. I was like, I don't have the biggest following from WeRX, but how would the people who are still around react to this? You know, react to what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. Right? Because like going from pop punk to pop is like, again, there's like that stereotype of like, you know, sometimes they do that, sometimes, you know, and then there's also the stereotype of like a boy band, and then the most successful one of the boy band goes off and goes solo and makes it big. I'm not saying I'm the most successful because I every now and then I get updates of like from other people. You know, I hear that the other members are loving what they're doing, and you know,
Which is
I'm
awesome
happy for them. Yeah, I'm happy for them. Shout outs to fucking Joe, Stefano. Y'all are doing good things. Good on you. You know, and I'm like, things didn't work out, whatever. But, like, I was just worried that like people were gonna feel weird about it because it's such a drastic, especially when I released Not Your Type. It was such a drastic thing from, you know, Took You Long Enough. Because when that EP dropped, that was straight up pop punk.
Oh,
that was,
no denying.
There was nothing else. Yeah. There was nothing else in there. It was straight up pop punk. There was a pop punk ballad. Like
literally.
Literally. It had the acoustics and everything, you know? And here I am making fucking, you know, poppy ass tunes. And I'm like, oh, like, I'm cool with this change. I've grown from where I was before, and I can take stuff from there. But will the people who are still here be okay with it as well? And thankfully, people have been vibing with it, you know?
Yeah, I think with the transition, if you had come out of the gate with a song with like no guitars, straight up just like synthy drum beaty type, I don't know the term for that, but like that type of pop music.
Yeah.
I think people would have been a little more like, yo, what's going on, man? I think that's really cool. Don't get me wrong. That would be cool too. But I think for you to still have some guitar stuff happening, and there's still moments where, to me, I hear and feel like, okay, there's still some kind of pop punky stuff going on here. Yeah. So it's like, you know, I think it works, right?
Yeah.
I think it works.
I'm glad that people are digging it and people are vibing with it because, you know, again, going from something that you've known for I did We Are X for 5 years.
Yeah.
Me and Kyle were doing that for 5 years. To do something not only different from We Are X, but also being the only person and not having my brother with me was also terrifying.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Know? Because that's my brother. Like, he's been by my side for as long as I can remember, as much as we hated it. You know?
It's like at the end of the day, you're family, right? Like, you can't...
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're family. You can't do anything about it. But it was weird that I was going off on this sort of musical endeavor without someone who was there for all of my past musical endeavors, sure. You know? So, yeah, that was a big thing just for me to have to like learn to get over, I guess you could say. And then, you know, I'm still getting over it a little bit. Like, I'm still every time I drop a song, oh my God, I could not sleep the night jitters, before, get it all back. Yeah. And then like when the music video dropped, I was like freaking out as well. I was like, this needs to go right. Like, this is the first music video. I need it to go right, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a blessing to know that I can take all the things that I learned from before and put a twist on them and have everyone kind of thrown for a loop, because it sounds like something that We Are X could have done if it was done with actual instruments. If everything was an actual instrument.
That's something I was going to say, like, on that same note of it being like, yes, it is a dramatic shift, but it's like, it's still like, it's in that same kind of wheelhouse where like, I was like, you know what, add some slightly heavier drums and guitars to this, and it's could have been in We Are X stuff. You know what I mean?
Maybe duck the, you know, the the synths and stuff down maybe a little bit, and it could have been, you know, it could have been all my songs could have, you know, all the Clovercast songs could have been right. It really just comes down to how they were sort of put together, I guess.
With writing the Clovercast stuff, like, I'm assuming when you're in a band writing stuff, obviously, like, you're keeping in the back of your head that, like, you know, this is going to be, done with multiple people's inputs. Is it kind of intimidating when you're going into a situation where it's like, it's just me, I have to play all this stuff, I have to record all this? Is that kind of intimidating thing when you're coming into it with that, from being in a band?
I think at first it was. I think at first it was so intimidating. Like, I was terrified. Like, Not Your Type was an accident.
Sure.
You know? Like, it all started with that do ga do ga do 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 ga do, like that whole drum beat. Just because I was bored and I was like, I want to go play drums, and they have a studio here at Seneca. I'm gonna go play drums at the studio in Seneca. So I played drums at the studio in Seneca and just messed around with the kit and was like, that's a cool drum beat. Like, I could use that. And I was just like, okay, this could just be for my final project at Seneca. Because, like, the final project was, we literally recorded a full song, wrote, recorded, and, like, produced by herself. And then it gets put on this compilation album for our group of whoever graduated and stuff. So, yeah, like, that was... Not Your Type was totally by accident. And then it kind of just went... Again, things kind of just clicked and made sense, and then, you know, here we are.
It made sense for the project,
those kinds of tracks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if We Are X was going to get back together in that time, I'm sure it just would have went to We Are X. You know, I'm sure it would have been written so that it could be a little bit less poppy and a lot more punky. You know, so.
But it came out, because it came from the same mind, so to speak, you know, but it's just came out of a different vein, you know.
Sort of, yeah. Like, it was completely different doing it by myself the first time. I'm so grateful for the support system that I have, my family, my friends, you know, because they hear a lot of this stuff beforehand, and they give me their 2 cents. Sure. Like, I send stuff to John every now and then and just go, what do you think of this? And he's like, it's cool, but I think you need to do this. I think this needs to change. I think, you know, I don't know if you know Dan Bell from Nothing's.
Yes, I haven't talked to him in a minute too. A big shout outs to Dan. He is or Ban, I think Bandel, as he is on my Facebook, and it always confuses me anytime he pops up.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Bandel from Nothing Special, and John Ward from Nothing Serious. Like,
the Nothings are
the Nothings, the NS, the Nova Scotias of the world. You know, I send them tracks sometimes when I first, like, get the demo done, and then sometimes when I like am getting, like, the final mixes together. Like, I'll send them tracks and be like, what do you think? Like, do you think anything needs to be changed? Like, you know, and they're completely transparent with me. They're like, I'm gonna be real with you, but I'm not gonna just tear you down.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this sucks, delete it. It's gonna be like,
they're like, hey, this frequency is a bit too much. Hey, I think this could go down. Hey, I think this could be changed.
It's like the more technical side of things, because those are two very prolific songwriters and people who know that side of things, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Dan has been doing great production-wise.
Yes.
He's been producing for a bunch of people. John is, you know, starting to get more into the production realm as well, just for Nothing Serious. So that's sort of rolling for him. He's sort of getting on that and getting the hang of that a little bit more, you know? And of course, they both are in bands, and they both write their own music. They know what they're talking about. Like, people like their music, so I'm gonna take their word. But yeah, like, even like my non-music friends, like, I have friends that I play League of Legends with all the time. Shout out to League of Legends. Uncle Rito, you're doing great. I ask them for their opinion, and they're like, hey, I think this lyric could change. Hey, I think you could change the way that this is being said, or the way that this is being sung, or, you know, something like that. And, like, they're also completely transparent with me without just tearing me down to shreds.
Which is good to have that. There's nothing worse, and I know all about this, even in my world. There's nothing worse sometimes than, yeah, man, sounds great.
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing. No, man, it sounds so good, dude. Like, I mean, that one part where, you know, it did the thing. Yeah, man, it's great. You said this one word. It's like, come on, there's got to be something.
Like, I had people straight up start to say, like, yeah, man, it sounds good. Yeah, that sounds great, without actually giving me any criticism. And I stopped talking to them, like, regularly.
Yeah.
Which I'm sorry for that, by the way, if you are listening. But if I'm sending you a track, I want feedback.
You're not looking necessarily for... And I mean, if you don't have any notes... Because like this happens to me where someone will send me stuff to get my opinion and I might genuinely not have any notes. That happens to me a lot because I'm like, I'm just a fan. Like, yeah, I listen to a lot of music. So like, I might be like, hey, this... It sounded a little tinny in my headphones. Like, those are my notes. What do you think of the structure of this? What do you think of this? It's like, hey, look, that's not my world, man. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I think this lyric needs to change. Because like, I'm like, that's not my world. But if you send it to me and I have no notes, I at least will be like, I think it sounds awesome. Is there anything you think?
Yeah.
I'll say, is there anything you think? Oh, I don't know how I think about this. Then I'll kind of think about it from their point of view and go, okay, like maybe I like that, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing to just be like you sound great, man.
A yes man. You don't want people like that around.
You don't want to be surrounded by yes men because then you start to feel, or you start to act entitled.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't want that.
You don't want to feel entitled. You don't want to seem entitled to anyone.
No yes men. You don't need that in your life.
No yes men.
Right,
no
Morty?
Yes men. We want people that'll challenge us, you know?
Yeah, it's challenging in a, like, if there's one thing I can say, like with a lot of the people I surround myself with now in the community, like in a creator type of sense, like I surround myself with, especially like, obviously it's a little different for me with podcasting, but like all of my podcast buddies are doing freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And every time I hear their stuff, I go, frig, like, oh man, like I need to step it up. And like, I think
you
that's
get that competitive drive a little bit.
I think that's
it's not really a competitive drive.
Yeah, not so much competitive. It's more like, oh man, like I need to be on the same level.
Yeah.
You know? And even if it's just little things, if you hear a song and it's like, I'm sure you're the same. Like I know the kind of guy you are. Like I'm sure you hear, you know, New Nothing Serious and you're like, yeah, I'm like, okay. And I'm sure they feel the same.
Has just become one of my favorite Nothing Serious songs.
Sorry, which one's that?
Rescue Me.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. Love it.
I was like, if that is 2021 punk and pop punk, I'm so down.
Oh,
put me
100%.
I want to be there.
Listen, you know? if Nothing Serious is like one of the bands leading the charge for pop punk and punk heading into like this next phase,
sort of revival, I guess you could say.
I'm in 100% because that's the kind of shit. And I mean, you know, to be sentimental for a second, because I know how much you are friends with those guys. Like the amount of how excited and happy I was that they not only were going to keep playing music, but have done so awesome and have made such fucking incredible music. And I feel the same way about you too, man. Like with the Clovercast stuff, it's like when I heard it, I'm just like, fuck, like this is, again, it's like, it's mature. It has a great sound and it's like, man, this is seeing these people that I knew from, 6-7 years ago, watching you guys on a Battle of the Band stage, like, compared to
guitar
now,
flips
it's like,
and all.
Hell yeah, dude! And like now, it's like you guys are like these like great songwriters, and it's not okay. When I say it's not like cool anymore, I mean like for me, it was just so cool to know, like, hey, I know that guy. Like, that kid came into the store once, and now I'm watching him on stage. That was really cool for me. But then also, it's like, oh, shit, there's some really good music here. Yeah. And then it's like, now fast forward a few years, it's like, oh, shit, there's even better music now. Like, what? Yeah. Like, it blows my mind sometimes, man. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, everyone everyone in our scene has just grown.
Yeah.
Maturity-wise, you know? And everyone's finding new places to write from, and everyone's making new experiences to write from, you know? So I think just over time, I think it's going to get better, honestly.
Well, that's all awesome, man. And I mean, that's such a cool thing to be able to look back on everything and like just see how far everyone's come and see the growth of everybody. And I mean, I'm so excited to keep seeing where this scene, even though I'm technically a little out of the scene now because I'm up in Peterborough, it's like, you know, well, then again, John's in fucking Lindsay now, so whatever.
I mean, yeah, like at this point, like our scene, no matter what, our scene will stay the scene regardless of where everyone is. You know, it's like that group of friends that will only get together once a year, but when they get together, all hell breaks loose because of how much of a good time it is, you know? Yeah. So like, yeah, I feel like that's just kind of what our scene has become because yes, we have gotten older. Yes, I am now 24 and I'm not, you know, I'm not that before, but you know, we're older, we're a little bit wiser. We can write from better places. We can make better things with what we can do, you know, and we're continuing to improve those things as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's like anything, right? The more you do it,
the better you get.
Generally speaking, the better you're going to be at it, right?
Except in basketball, if you can't shoot a ball, you're kind of...
Oh, yeah, you're screwed. I mean, there's lots of things I can think of that I am still not very good at after a long time.
Yeah.
I've been on this earth for over 30 years now, and there's still a lot of things I can't do.
So, exactly.
It's like shit, man. But one thing that's really cool with just talking on the scene and that, like, there's also like for me, when I think of like the quote unquote scene, I really just think of like all of Ontario because there's so many great freaking bands in the area, and one of which is my boys in Judgement.
Yes, sir.
Shout outs to Judgement. And it's cool. Like we've already kind of sort of touched on it a little bit, but one of the times that I was so excited, I had talked with Ev for the first time and like we hit it off and I was like, oh, like these are great guys. And you know, like I really love the music. I love the message. And I was like, oh, like this is awesome. Like, you know, they're definitely going to be a band that I'm going to have. I mean, I've had Ev on 3 times now. I think, like, if you can't tell, guys, I love talking to them.
Judgement is a great group of guys. You know, they're a great band. Their tracks are killer. If you haven't listened to them, get out from whatever rock you've been living under because you need to get onto this sort of not hype train, but like this movement, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm.
It's a movement. Yeah, the Judgement.
It's not just a band; it's a movement. And that's something that that they say all the time. You know, when like Veg says that all the time when he's on stage with us, you know, and like he has these moments in our set where he addresses the crowd, and one of the things that he says is, "This is not just a band. This is a movement," you know, and they're always striving towards being the best versions of themselves and doing things your way, you know, which is quite inspirational for me. You know,
100%. Yeah. At the end of the day, being super true to yourself and like just, but also still growing as a person.
Exactly.
And just being good and doing
not
good,
being stagnant. Yeah. Which is like a big issue that a lot of people, I'm sure, have felt over the course of this. You know, since COVID was a thing, I felt it as well. So like you're not alone. But, you know, you never want to be stagnant in any other situation. You want to keep progressing and keep improving yourself, sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, and you talk to those guys for even a minute. It's like on top of the fact that at the same time too, they're also just really fun, goofy dudes, you know, like, but also like they have such a good heart. Like everyone in that band, you know, I can't stress enough. I haven't had the pleasure of. I've only had Ev and oh my god, Cam on. And actually, to show you guys just really quick how sweet of guys they are. The episode that I had them on was the last time that my original podcat trademark Steve was with me recording a podcast before he passed away.
Oh.
So I had like a little tribute in the beginning of the video just because, and all of them took the time to message me and were like, dude, like, oh my God, like, we're so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, shit, like, that was like, that really meant a lot to me that they all took the time to message me. I was like, that just shows the kind of, cause it's like some people are like, dude, it was a cat. And I'm like, nah, man, like
that's my best
but,
friend.
It just shows the kind of, yeah, like that's the kind of people they are. And like, I was so unbelievably excited when I there was a picture, I think, or something was posted, and I saw you in the picture, and I went, wait, is that Lee? Because like I was like, I know it was you, but like, I think like the last time when I think of you, I still think of like rainbow hair.
Oh God, yeah.
Lee running around.
I mean,
so
there is
I
still purple in my hair.
I mean,
but
sure,
like,
yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
It
thank
looks
you,
good,
thank you.
know?
It's not down
the
right
undercut
now,
and everything.
God,
yeah.
It's gotten so long. I'm sure you've seen the pictures.
Yeah, well, that's why when I saw the picture, I was like, oh man, like, because at first I had an undercut at the time, and I was growing it out, so I was like, yeah, that guy's got a sweet undercut. Then I was like, wait. Is that fucking Lee? So like, yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure I messaged Evan, was like, dude, and he's like, what's up? I'm like, what's up with Lee? And he's like, oh, like Lee's like helping us out with like live guitars and stuff, and we're kind of like hanging out. And I'm like, what? Like how? Because he didn't know that like I knew you from a previous life, so to speak, and like. He was like, Lee? I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I love Lee, man. Like I haven't talked to him in a minute, but I'm like, yo, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I was nothing makes me more excited than when I see someone I know join a band I know. I'm just like, yo, like it gets me so amped. I don't know why. I'm just like, people connecting.
You're hyped for your boy, and you're hyped for your boys. There's nothing wrong with that. That's completely okay. Like I get hyped every time nothing serious or nothing special puts something out. I get hyped every time. Every time you do a podcast with like someone that I'm interested in just hearing their story and stuff, or just other friends in general on the podcast, is like, yeah, like two worlds are colliding there, and I love that shit.
Yeah, it's cool whenever that happens, right? And I mean, it was so cool, and I mean, obviously, I know that. You guys will bet your bottom dollar that we're gonna have all of Judgement on at some point. I want to make that podcast.
That is gonna be the most hectic podcast as well.
I'm gonna just get like a freaking like Blue Yeti and just put it in the middle of the room and call it a day. Because I'm like, I don't know how else it's gonna work. I don't even know if I'll call it a podcast. I'll just be like, here's 3 hours of me hanging out with Judgement.
Yeah.
Here you go. You get what you get.
No, I get like, I mean. They've all just been like such amazing people to be with, to be around. I remember the first time that I ever met them was at their first EP release show, which was when they were under the name Poor Judgement.
Yes.
They had the EP Fallout at the time, and we at last minute we got asked to play the show. We are X as in. I just remember like the first time I met them, I was like, these guys are fucking great. They're gonna do something with this. Like it's great, and I want to keep following them more and stuff. And then, like a couple of years passed of just like not talking because, like we hit it off at that show, but we weren't that close. Like the only person that I was really close to was Riley, the drummer, because because of a mutual friend, essentially. And then, like, we had met prior to that. So the only person that I had knowledge of was Riley before any of this. And then, what's it called? We, a couple of years passed, and then I get a text from Riley out of nowhere. And he's like, yo, how are you, man? And I was like, I'm doing good. How are you? Like, how have you been? How is life? I see all the stuff that, Poor Judgement is doing. Because at the time they were still under the name Poor Judgement. And he was like, yeah, actually wanted to talk to you about that. I was like, why do you want to talk to me about that? Like, what's going on? And he was like, we have this show. I forget exactly what it was for, but they essentially had the show at the Oshawa Music Hall before it got changed to the Biltmore, and they were headlining the show, and they wanted to make the show like their set like as big as it could be, like make it an actual show as opposed to just a band going up there playing their songs and then dipping. You know, they wanted to make it entertaining and stuff, and they were just about to start playing their newer tracks, like the stuff on the Fine Alive EP. And oh wait, no, sorry. There was a previous time before that. I had went to Barrie to see my friend Megan Ann play. I didn't know that Judgement was playing that show.
Okay.
So I showed up, like, and I helped Megan load in and everything, you know, just kind of chilled out. And all of a sudden, the boys in Judgement walk in. And I'm like, what? Like, at first I was like, what is this show going to be? Because I was like, it's this band. And then Megan, who's like a solo artist and stuff. And I was completely there on a whim. I was like, I want to go support Megan. And then, you know, they walked in. And then just out of nowhere, I was like, if you guys need any help with your set, let me know. And they were like, actually, yeah, our bassist, Cam, he has 2 basses that he uses. Would you be cool with like tuning them and keeping them in tune and then switching them off? And I was like, yeah, sure. Just let me know what tunings and I'm set. Just let me know the songs and what tunings. I don't know if I have the set list still on my phone because I wrote it on my phone. But yeah, I checked for them like that night essentially because the drum kit that they were using, it was a house kit. It didn't really have any of the legs to stop it from sliding. Oh, so every time Rye would hit the kick, it was go doom, 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 like further away from him. So like he would have to stop in the middle of a song, pull it back, and keep playing. He did that once because I picked up on it, and every time after that, I just went up, pushed it back, and like grabbed the cinder block from the back room, which was there for some reason, and put it in front of the kick, and was like, this has to work for now at least. And it worked for like a couple of songs, and then it started doing it again. But thankfully, it was in the middle of songs. Excuse me. But yeah, so that was like, I sort of accidentally ran into them and teched for them at that show. And then a couple, like, I'm going to say a little under a year passed. And then I got that text from Riley saying, hey, like, we have the show at the Oshawa Music Hall. Would you be able to help out? Because, you know, you did so great at the Barrie show that we played. And I was like, fucking absolutely. Like, and I went like crazy with it. I was like, what do we need? What's going on? Do we need extra guitars? Do we need extra amps? What do I need to do? And they were like, we just need you to help with tunings and like guitars or bass switches for Cam, as well as making sure that the drum kit doesn't fall apart or run away on me like it did the last time in Barrie. I was like, yeah, okay, I got you. So I started teching for them up until the pandemic hit, up until COVID started. And then, you know, we were all like locked inside for a little bit. We were able to get together every now and then to, under precaution of the virus and everything. We were able to work through some of those things and do podcasts, work with them on their podcast a little bit. And then the rehearsal factory opened up, and then we were able to start practicing again under, precaution of everything that was going on. And I remember Veg, I think I was doing some work on Veg's guitar or something like that. And I think we were trying out my amp, because behind me I have like a whole rack case with my rig and also Cam's rig now, which is just the guitar and the bass amp. And we were kind of curious. We were like, okay, well, let's try to, maybe we should switch to a head sort of setup, and then just bank on maybe there being cabs for us to use for our set, which 9 times out of 10 has been the case. There's a cab. Of course, the one other time I had to rent one, but yeah. So I essentially had brought my rig, and I think we were messing about. We had set everything. We had set the jam room up, set it all. Got it all ready for the jam, and I just started playing the guitar. And I was actually. I was by myself learning their songs because I was like, these are catchy songs. I want to play them. Like, not even for anyone else. I just want to play them in my room, and like play along on my guitar and stuff. And then, the guys slowly started filing in. It was just me and Riley. The guys slowly started filing in, and then I think Veg was the last one to file in. And then, yeah, I don't know. They were kind of there was kind of like, they wanted to do this cover of an Under Oath song, Boy Brushed Red, but Veg was having trouble playing it and screaming and singing at the same time.
Sure.
So they kind of just looked at me and just went, do you know how to play this song? I was like, yeah. And they're like, can you play it for this track? I was like, yeah. So I played it, and they're like, okay, cool, but there's some more vocals and stuff. You want to sing on the track too? Sure. Okay. I'm just going to keep the mic back here and stuff and play from here. Okay. And then like before the next jam, I got a text from Riley saying, bring your setup. And I just went, oh? And he's like, yeah, bring your setup. We're going to try something. So I brought my setup, and they just kind of went, okay, how much of the songs have you learned? And I was like, I learned 4 of the 5. Like at the base, the beginner level, I guess you could say.
You could kind of BS your way through it.
Like I could play them on easy mode essentially on Guitar Hero or something. And they're like, okay, you're gonna play along to this jam. And I just went, oh, okay. So I played along, and then they were like, and then Veg was like, okay, this is how you play this part. This is how you play my part. This is how you play this. And I was like, okay, maybe they're just teaching me because they know I like the stuff. And then they had a conversation. I think they had, I don't know, they had some sort of conversation. And then they had a conversation with me that was essentially, Veg wants to be a front man. He wants to be entertaining and being a singer and the guy, running around the stage a little bit. It's hard to do that with a guitar around him because he's got to he's got to worry about that as well. Mm-hmm. And all I'm really doing right at that point was just kind of sitting back behind the kit, making sure that everything for Riley was okay. And then they were like, how'd you feel about just being like a live member for now? And I was like, sure. Do you want me to be like behind with Rye, or do you like, where do you want me? They're like, no, you can be up in front. I was like, okay, cool. And then that's sort of just been where I am up to this point, I guess you could say. I am a live member until further news. Until I don't know, maybe there has to be an official announcement. All I know is that I'm playing on stage with Judgement, and I'm having the time of my life with them because it's kind of like going back to We Are X stuff, but heavier.
There's that heaviness and the energy, and I mean, I think it's a great fit. I think you're the perfect guy for the job.
Thank you.
So it's like, it's cool to see, and I mean, I am such a genuine fan of Judgement that it's like, I can't help but geek out a little bit.
And
I'm
again,
like, yo, man, I know that guy.
And again, they're the sweetest guys ever.
Yeah,
like they're some of the nicest dudes ever. Like they're the type of people that will, again, even if they didn't know what was going on, they would be like, hey, I just want to make sure that everything's good with you. There's been a couple of times where I've kind of just not isolated myself, but kind of just like moved away and just kind of, been a recluse, I guess you could say. And they've reached out and been like, hey man, everything okay? Like, we haven't heard from you in a couple of days. Like, are you good? And stuff like that, so, and like, every time something has happened, say in my family, in my personal life, yada yada yada, they've always been like the first people to be like, hey, let me know if we can do it. Like let me know if I can do anything for you. You know, so they've really been some of the best guys I think I could be around. You know, and honestly, their songs, Define Alive is one of my favorites. Just in general, like it hits me in a spot, you know, and it like not a lot of songs hit me in that spot, I guess you could say. So, yeah, like I love being with them. I love playing on stage with them. I love hanging out with them. They're just some of the best people ever.
That's it, man. And that's freaking awesome. And I mean, I can't wait to, you know, to keep seeing how that journey goes.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, I'm sure that at some point Judgement will be back on the Harder Show in some capacity.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So
Yeah.
big shout outs to the guys. Because that would be,
gotta, you know, figure that out. But, you know, for now we're just trying to keep the ball rolling for us. You know, just kind of.
Oh, for sure. And you've got that show coming up. What was the date again?
November 20th.
November 20th?
Yeah. It's at the Biltmore, the old music hall.
Yes. So guys, go check that out because
if you're in the Durham area, if you're in the Durham area at least,
go check it out.
Yeah,
because it's going to be a great show. You get to see Lee.
Excuses is like also headlining
yes.
some of the best people as well, some of the nicest people. I don't know, like I'm grateful that like a lot of the bands that I've come across have just been the nicest people, you know, and like some of the sweetest people and some of the just genuinely best people that I could be around, you know? So, yeah. It
makes it a lot easier to be fans of a band and enjoy their music when they're awesome people. There's nothing
it's
worse
a lot
than when you meet a
easier
band
to support them without feeling like you're
Yes.
not supporting them properly, you know?
It's like, oh yeah, check out this band, even though they're assholes.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing worse.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not that that happens a lot.
No, we're not naming names or anything, but
No.
you
No,
know.
no. Nothing serious. But you know, it's no, just kidding. They know how much I love them. Oh man. That's it. Well, dude, it has been so much fun getting to catch up with you, man, and just talking about everything. Again, guys, I'll have some links down below for Clovercast. Go check out the video. Go check out the new single. Check out all the music.
Get it all back.
Is there anything? Anything else going on that you want to make sure you talk about before we get out of here?
I'm hoping to get Clovercast like in shows. So
Awesome.
I'm working
Okay.
towards that. I finally figured out a small playback rig and MIDI system that I can kind of control everything by myself.
Okay.
So it really just comes down to who wants to play shows with an emo pop boy. You know, it really just comes down to that.
Your emo
Get at
pop
your emo
boy.
pop boy. This is an open thing, like open, I guess, wanted ad of like emo pop boy watch
Emo
shows.
pop boy searching for like-minded individuals
But just
to play
just
these.
to play shows, like not like
like
shows
sure.
with
Just to play
their
shows
band
with-
or like their act
Yes.
or whatever, you know? Because like I'm
looking to play shows with like-minded individuals.
looking to play
Or how are
shows,
those-
just that.
Looking to play shows. Yeah. No, I got a computer.
I got a computer, a keyboard, a guitar, and a microphone. I'm set.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, when that happens, it'll be cool. I mean, it's not going to be like an Ed Sheeran sort of like loop pedal thing, but it's also not going to be like lip sync battles, you know?
You just pressing a button and walking away from
Yeah.
it.
I mean, there is one part of the song, one part of You Should Know where I do put the guitar down, and it's right before the bridge. And if you know that song, you know why I put the guitar down. If not, you're just going to have to listen to the song and figure out why when the bridge hits. But yeah, I mean, when I do finally get that up and running, it should be fun. But in the meantime, like Clovercast, follow Clovercast. It's just at Clovercast on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and stuff. Follow at Judgement CA on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure on on Twitter as well. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't like them. So
For whatever freaking reason.
We don't know, but you're not going to really find them on Facebook. So Instagram is your best bet. Stream the final live EP from Judgement. Play that on repeat. Play these next songs in a queue as well. Not Your Type, Midnight, You Should Know, and Get It All Back from Clovercast. Stream those. Everyone that we've talked about and referenced in this podcast.
Just make listen. I'm just gonna make a playlist with all these songs with Nothing Serious' is full discography.
Yes. With I Want It That Way in the mix as well. That has to be there.
And then we're gonna end off with Incomplete. It's gonna be a good time.
It starts with I Want It That Way. It goes through all like Judgement, Clovercast, Nothing Serious, Nothing Special, all those bands, and then it ends with Incomplete. And then you just have to keep looping that, and you're set.
That would be great.
You're set for life.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll throw in some Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, throw in some Limp Bizkit. Why not? Fuck it. As long as we got some Linkin Park too, we're good. And some that.
Okay, we'll throw some Linkin Park
and
too.
At least one song from the 1975.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? What else did we talk about in this? 1975.
I would say We Are X stuff, but I don't know if that's still on Spotify or anything.
It is.
Is it? Okay.
We'll throw in some We Are X too, just for the sake of
Fade in.
You know.
Arguably,
that's
the best song.
It's a good song.
The best song.
I sing that song to myself.
And I'm so happy to say that the best song in that EP is not written from me. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, just show some love, everyone. Show some love to everyone around, everyone who's trying to do what I'm doing, what Judgment's doing, what every other band that we've been talking about has been doing, what they want to do, what they want to achieve in life. Support them, help them out, give them at least a like or a follow, or at least listen to their track once and try it out. You know, don't be afraid of
Clicking a button is free, and it takes zero effort.
We do it so many times on our phone.
Yeah.
And our computers. Why can't we do it? Why can't we do one extra click for our friends? You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Lee, thank you so much, man. It's been so fun getting to catch up with you. And I promise it won't be over 1,000 days till we
God, I hope it's less than 1,000 hours at least.
Okay. I'll hold you to that.
But yeah, thank you again. Thank you for all the love that you've given me on like all the Clovercast stuff, all the We Are X stuff over the years, all the Judgement stuff. I appreciate all that you do for not only myself, but everyone else in our scene that is coming up and wants to get themselves heard. And this is one of the better ways to do so. So thank you so much for having me on again.
Well, thank you, man. I very much appreciate that. And it's always so much fun for me to do anything I can, even if it's just providing a platform.
It's always love. It's always love, you know?
always love, bro. Because without love, we all would be incomplete. I was going to try and throw in something else, and I lost it. So
and let me tell you, we all want it that way.
Yes!
Sorry, I had to do the dramatic pause. Thank you. Good night.
All right, folks, there you have it. My chat with Lee Ibanez from Clovercast. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. It was so much fun getting to catch up with Lee again. I'll have some links down below. Go check out all of his projects because he deserves your support with Clovercast as well as with Judgement and anything else that he does. Definitely was so much fun getting to catch up with Lee. Lee, thank you again, buddy, for always being a supporter from day one of the show and for coming on. It was great catching up with you. And if you want to be on the show to promote something, or there's something specific you want to talk about, or you want to come on and just kind of have a fun BS sesh, hit me up. Let me know. You can find me on all the social medias under The Hodder Show. That's HODDER, The Hodder Show. Or you can email me at thehoddershow@gmail.com. Or you can just hit me up on my personal accounts, TJ Hodder. Let me know. Say, hey, man, I want to come on the show. Right now, I'm trying to book ahead. I've got some great interviews coming up with some really, really fun people that I think you guys are going to enjoy. And then also, we're heading into Christmas. So, obviously, as is tradition around here, Christmas has some fun things that I usually do. But I have some really killer interviews leading up to that. So stay tuned. Lots of great things coming here on The Harder Show. 2021 has been a very interesting year for a lot of people, but it's been a really great year for me for the podcast and for life, of course. That goes without saying. Some fun things have happened this year, but really with the podcast, we've been seeing some slow growth again, which is it's always exciting when that happens. We're in an up right now, so I want to keep pushing and keep growing this show, and I need your guys' help to do that. Be sure to hit that share button, leave a rating if you can. Ratings are so important for this show. If you are listening on the Apple Podcast app and you want to leave a rating, that helps so much. If you are listening on another app that does ratings, that would also really help. But word of mouth is a big part of my show. Just tell your friends about The Harder Show, what we're doing over here. You guys are as much a part of this as I am. As much as I do this just for fun and as a great outlet for me, it's also something that I want to do for other people for entertainment. That's what I'm trying to do here. Just entertain you, take you away from your day and the stresses of life lately for so many people. That's what we're really trying to do here. And I'm honored to be a part of your day. Thank you so very much. We're going to leave you off with the patented exclusive audio fist bump. Boom. You're only going to hear that on The Harder Show, folks. What other idiot is going to punch his microphone to sign off? Just this idiot who's got two thumbs and punches his own microphone. This guy. With that, folks, I'm going to sign off here. Thank you so very much again for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that rating. It all helps. Thank you so very much. And I'll catch you next time on The Harder Show. Take it easy, guys.